welcome back to my channel. My name is Elise and this is where I show you all about my life living in Switzerland. Today is a really exciting video because we are going to be addressing this big empty space behind me. Wow! This is my dining nook. I don't usually show it because I think it looks quite bare and boring. I really want to do something to bring some life into this space. Every day I sit on the couch and I see this empty corner and I just think, what can be done to brighten this up and to add a bit of our own personal style to the space without breaking the bank? So the first idea was to paint it a really beautiful color, and there's a couple reasons why we didn't go ahead with that. And the first is that we have no idea how long we're going to be living here. We don't want to spend the time or money painting a wall if we're just going to paint it white. In a couple years, maybe we may move when this lease is up. We honestly have no idea what's going to happen. So yeah, painting seemed a bit risky. The other reason is that this is a really old house. So the electrical work is like on the wall. Like you can see it here a little bit. That the wiring is outside, so if you were to paint the wall a dark color like I'm planning, I think it would just draw attention to the casing of the wire and look really crap. The last reason why we decided not to paint is because this is a really significant wall in a quite small room in a small apartment. We are very comfortable here. It's just the two of us and little Oliver, so everything makes sense. Oliver's my cat, by the way. I don't have a baby, but we don't really, I don't know, we do feel like we would like something a bit bigger wherever we move next, but for now this is fine, and we don't want to make the living room to feel more closed down by making one colored wall a bit too in your face. So I had this idea that is totally an experience that I'm making, or not experience, experiment that I'm making up as I go along. So I've bought the materials, which was a bit of a hassle, but I have this vision in my head, and Hendrik has been so good about helping me articulate that vision at the hardware store. Like if I were at home, I would call my dad and I'd draw a picture and I'd like talk it through, and he would like help me go to like the Home Depot and get all the stuff I need, and I'm sure it would be a lot easier. But Hendrik and I are not woodworkers by any means. I can't really articulate what I'm trying to say that well. My vocabulary isn't strong enough in German. My German's good enough that if he starts to explain it, I can make sense of what he's saying because I know like what we're trying to say. But yeah, it's just, I wouldn't be able to do it without him. So thanks for your help, honey. But yeah, we're really excited. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what materials we have and kind of talk you through what my plan is. And I may do this completely wrong. I'm gonna make some mistakes and I'm gonna try to explain on here how I might be able to fix them. This is really a trial and error situation. So thank you so much for joining me on this wild ride, and let's get started. So here are all my supplies for this project. I started with a huge piece of plywood. I think this is either birch or pine. I'm honestly not sure. This is the back because you can see these kind of joint pieces. On the other side, they don't have those. You want to make sure if you have anything like with knots or anything like that, that's like the back, and the other side has as little disruption as possible, because otherwise the paint will just soak into it. Then I have these pieces of just, again, I think they're birch. I'm honestly not sure. I'm not a contractor, so don't quote me on anything. But I have too long and too short. I just got them cut by the wood cutting guy at the, or sorry, I should say wood cutting person, because it was actually a little old lady and I was so proud of her. She was such a badass. But anyway, they cut them at the hardware store for me. And then I have these thicker pieces to go on the back because I want this big piece of wood. It's gonna hang the other way up on this wall, and then this picture and a couple other pictures are going to be hung directly on that. That way we can have a gallery wall with as minimal holes as possible. Other supplies that we have are just a drill with some drill bits. That is like, they don't have a tape measure. I don't know, this is like a meter stick. Some wood glue, These are the like wall supports for screws for hanging it. We've got a bit of sandpaper. These are how we're gonna hang it to the wall. One screw just like goes in and then it kind of like sinks down into this little crevice. We have this beautiful green paint and a roller and tray to paint that. I have these little knobs that I got from IKEA. They're actually part of their like coat rack collection in the storage section. And the reason why I got these is because I got these cool frames this summer. They were on sale, like 60% off from Manor, and they had this amazing ring detail on the top. So they can suspend on these gold knobs rather than just like a blank screw or something. So I think that's gonna look really cool. And the last thing that we got are these Ledberg lights. So it's an LED light strip that you can actually cut down to size, and it just plugs right into the wall and presses on with a button. So the reason why I got these cool lights is because during Christmas time, I love having the ambiance of the tree lit up in the corner, and this corner was so dark. We only have one overhead light, and then we added a lamp in the opposite corner of the living room, and this corner was so dark, especially when we were having like people over for dinner. So I wanted something that was gonna add some lighting, but in more of a like moody way rather than just hanging something over the table. So that's why I got the thicker pieces to hold the big plywood off the wall a little bit so that this can be stuck to the back and hopefully add some ambiance to this corner. I started this project by assembling the hanging materials that will later be glued to the back of the plywood. First things first, I measured and found the exact center of my board, and then I screwed in the first of the 3 hanging plates. Then I measured 30 centimeters out towards either end and screwed in the additional 2 plates. It's really important here that you make sure that all 3 plates are hanging the same way, and that you only screw them in about 90% of the way. This will give them a little bit of give and make it easier to hang the whole piece on the wall later. Oh my gosh, so I'm working away, and like a workman guy just walked past my window and probably thinks, what the hell is that girl actually doing? But anyway, I started with measuring on the wall a little bit. I'm gonna try to show you, but it's kind of tricky to see. So basically what I did was I started with thinking about how low I want it to hang from the ceiling. So this big piece is 1 meter tall. And here, I'm gonna actually set you down because it may be easier from afar. It is so weird thinking in centimeters and not inches. Like, I mean, it is a little easier for like math-wise to go from like centimeters to meters and blah, blah, blah. But, oh my God, I'm so confused, like this whole project. And I really hate this meter stick. It is so hard to use. I really want just a regular tape measure. Anyway, I digress. So I figured out that I wanted to hang 50 centimeters from the ceiling, and then this will hang 60 centimeters from the ceiling on the back of this. And then just for reference, this is like how long down it will hang, and then this is the top of a chair that you can like barely see. So then I measured like kind of a dotted line across of 60 centimeters so that I could hold up my thing and know that it was like the same height from the top all the way across. And then I marked the middle, so I'm gonna put a hole there for this middle piece on this thing to hang on. These are pretty easy to attach. I just hope that they're straight and they're far enough away. I don't know. I'm not a professional. Someone come help me. Dad, get on a plane. Come help me. I don't know why I'm making this project so much harder for myself. I should have just painted the wall. Anyway, it's too late now. Let's drill some holes. Don't let the idea of screwing holes in your walls scare you. It is much easier than you think, and they can be covered up when you move out just as easily. All the instructions that you need are listed on the back of the wall anchors, which are the little plastic pieces. It's just really important to pay attention to how deep into the wall you need to drill, and then to make sure your screws are all standing the same distance off of the wall, which is easy enough to measure. This was a really tough wall, so Hendrik did have to come and use a little bit of strength to push it the rest of the way in, but it turns out I had the drill on the lowest power setting, so probably I could have done it myself, but the world will never know. The thing that I wanted to attach this to the wall with is called a French cleat, and I will insert a picture here. I've seen some DIY Instagrammers use these, and they look so easy to install and to get your picture onto the wall. You don't have to like try to see behind the big thing you're hanging. Unfortunately, I could not find one anywhere, and to order one on Amazon, it was gonna take like 8 years and you had to pay like double the price for the shipping. So I said, forget it, we'll try something else. This method still seems like it's gonna be really difficult once we have the huge piece attached, but I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I don't know, we shall see. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach the 2 brace pieces to the back of the big board as well as the lights, and then I'm gonna flip it over and paint the front. Hopefully, then tomorrow it will be dry. I can make the plan for how I'm gonna hang the pictures on and get it up on the wall, and then this will just be a quick 2-day project. Wouldn't that be amazing? I'm speaking it out into the universe, so hopefully it is true. So I've measured on the back exactly where this board needs to go so that it will be level, and I've traced it so that I know right where to glue it. My dad said that if you just sand both things a little bit and wipe them with a damp cloth, that the bond will be really good. This method does not require a lot of sanding at all. It's just really important to make sure that all the dust is wiped away with that wet cloth. You want to make sure that you put a really generous amount of glue on the back of the piece, and there's no need to worry about it seeping out the sides because no one will ever see it on the back. Now, I myself almost put this on upside down. So you need to make sure that the open circle is towards the bottom of your piece. That way, once the head of the screw is inserted into the open circle, then it slides down into the indented part of the hanging plate. This is so hard to explain, so I hope it makes sense, but the beauty of the glue method is that you do have a minute to manipulate the piece of wood and even take it off and spin it around quick if you get it the wrong way. Good morning, everyone. It's the next day now. You can see the big board in the daylight. I was planning on doing more of a teal color, but the color choices are so limited here, but I'm really pleased how this turned out. I kind of actually like that you can see the wood grain through a little bit, but you can see like here and over here, you can see the roller marks. So I'm gonna do one more thin layer on top of this, and then hopefully we can get this sucker hung up later today. Building the frame around this big green piece of wood was definitely the hardest part of the project, but I gained more confidence with each side that I did, so definitely start on the side that's the least noticeable. I also started on the smaller sides because it was easier for me to reach all the way across the frame piece to get it in just the right position. The first step is to sand the side of the plywood as well as the frame piece, and then wipe it clean with a wet cloth, just like we did for the back pieces. Next, I put a thin layer of glue along the side of the plywood, and then I eyeballed about 10 centimeters down on the frame piece. Make sure you have a drop cloth underneath your wood here because the glue will probably drip. Then I used some old pieces of old cardboard to jimmy the edges up so that the frame was the same depth all the way across, and then I just went back and forth making sure that it was in just the right position. I used the wet cloth again to wipe any excess glue that had oozed onto the top of the green wood so that it wouldn't leave any residue. If you have a piece of wood that's a bit warped, you may have to push it in the middle until the glue cures, but just like I said with the back piece, you have a minute to make sure everything's in just the right spot and all lined up before the glue sets for good. The other thing that I want to point out is that my pieces of wood are not exactly rectangular, so they do have a bit of a curve to them. I like the way it looks from the front, but it does make for some slightly awkward corners where they come together. So once this is a bit more cured, I'm going to go ahead and take some sandpaper to these rough edges and hopefully smooth it out enough so nobody notices. I don't think I showed you the lights yet. These actually worked out really well because they had like 3M sticky tape already built into the back, so I just brought it around. I did double over on the bottom a little, which I think is gonna be fine. We finally made it to the fun part. It is looking so good. I'm just planning out the layout, and then I'm gonna screw the knobs on to hold these cool frames and put a nail in for this picture. This one, I'm not sure if I mentioned it already, we got from IKEA in like the as is section, so I don't think they sell it anymore, but it's really cool. It's just like printed on plastic kind of, so it's like shiny. And it's really lightweight, so that looks cool. And then I'm gonna go through some of my pictures, and I think I'm gonna do some landscape shots also in black and white in these frames of some of our travels. I couldn't be happier with how this gallery wall turned out. It achieved everything we wanted it to. It's added a great bold color to this corner without overpowering the room. It's given us the opportunity to have a gallery wall that we can change and grow over time without being afraid of all the holes in the wall. It's also added so much warmth with this light that shines through. It's like having a Christmas tree all year round, and I'm just loving it. We're really excited to have a dinner party soon where we can really show it off and maybe even put it on party mode, which is when the LED lights fade through the rainbow. But for now, we like to just have it on the warm white setting, and it's just made for such a romantic setting in our living room, and I'm just really, really pleased. If you decide to build this in your home, please do tag me in your photos. I would absolutely love to see it. And even if this isn't something for your space, I hope that maybe it helps you be a little bit more brave to get out of your comfort zone and take ownership of your space and just make it yours. And I am really pleased that you're all here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye!